Folks, I want to jump into our second story. I'm having fun. This vibe. This vibe we're keeping up is great. I like the energy. There's a forward motion. You know what I mean? Similar to the forward motion of Odysseus on his trail back to the kingdom of Ithaca. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not familiar with Homer's The Odyssey, it is the sequel to the Iliad. It is a story. The Iliad is the story largely of the Trojan War, and then the Odyssey is the story of Odysseus, a Greek hero's travels home. Essentially, I want to talk about this because I'm not normally the type to drop some, literature knowledge. This is not your brain on air literature talk, but I would happily start doing something like that. But the only reason I reason to bring this up, you know what I mean, is because Christopher Nolan, a director that I particularly, I think that he's talented. Some of his movies can be a snore. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of his movies are so overwrought. Some of them are so long. Some of them are so Tenet, I'm sorry, I was not a big fan of. I didn't mind Interstellar. There were moments where I was like, you could have cut this. You could have shortened this scene. You could have cut this out. He's very, he's an epic storyteller. Yes, absolutely all of that. The end and the beginning of the Dark Knight trilogy are kind of overrated. Regardless, Christopher Nolan himself is a remarkably talented storyteller. He's very good at doing his thing, you know what I mean? With the wide camera angles, doing the big fucking imagery that makes you go, wow. Christopher Nolan, ladies and gentlemen, has dropped a trailer for his newest film, The Odyssey, the adaptation that every book hater has been waiting for. I plan to spoil the entire thing for you right here because this tale has been out for over 2,700 years. It's simply too late to cry spoiler alert, I'm sorry. Homer's Odyssey, man. If you have not heard of this story, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the trailer here soon. But if you don't know the story itself, we're going to talk about it right now. This takes place directly after the Iliad. It's basically two big stories. They're a collection of poems that have existed for thousands of years at this point that were told orally, you know what I mean? These were just stories that everybody kind of told. And there was these people, rapporteurs, that were instructed, and they were just professional storytellers. And they eventually arranged it into a confident, this is what, like, the version of the story that we're going to generally say is the canonized version. People argue about whether or not Homer existed. He was rumored to be a blind man who cataloged all of these wondrous tales from around his region of the world, which was the Greek and, the Troy area, all of this, like the Mediterranean region. All of that, you know what I mean? Argan Sea and all that shit. You look at the old world, the Greeks and shit like that. That's kind of what he covers. He talks about the old Greek gods. Athena's a major player in this story, and then Odysseus is just like, he's major if you talk about Greek circles and shit like that. We're not going to go over the Iliad. It's too long, and quite frankly, it's not that long, but I just don't feel like talking about it because we would never get to the trailer if I'm trying to summarize the Odyssey. So folks, in case you don't know, shit is getting real up in the kingdom of Ithaca. King Odysseus has been gone for almost 20 years. He's got a banging babe at home with his son, Telemachus, and Penelope. Telemachus is his son, and Penelope is his banging babe, and they ain't heard anything about where he's been since the end of the Trojan War about 10 years ago. Since everybody in the world thinks that he's dead, you know what I mean? There's about 108 shady hustlers that are starting to mac up on Penelope so that they can get a crack of some of that royal poo-tang and crown themselves king. Apparently, Odysseus has been stuck on some island somewhere where he's just been hanging out with some immortal goddess broad named Calypso. Eventually, the gods mount up on Mount Olympus. You know that place. They talk about it in Hercules. They tell Calypso she's got to take Odysseus off that short leash so he can get his ass home. Odysseus then sets sail for Ithaca, but the sea god Poseidon is pissy and drops a nasty storm on him. Odie shakes that shit off, though, because with the help of the gods, he makes it to the shores of Phaeacia. Excuse me, I'm trying to pronounce all of these Greek things correctly. He ends up on the shores of Phaeacia, and he starts to vibe with the king and the queen about his travels. He fills them in about, like, this one time that he punked a cyclops named Polyphemus. Odysseus told this guy that his name was Nobody. He got the Nobody. This is going to make sense in a minute. With Odysseus, he's like, hey, my name's Nobody. He got this cyclops insanely drunk. He then proceeds to stab him in the eye when he was passed out. When Polyphemus wakes up, he freaks out and tells the other cyclopses in the cave that is blocked, that all of Odysseus and his men are in, and well, he's out, his men are in there. No, nobody shanked me in the eye, he starts to yell to the other cyclopses, and they all go like, what are you talking about? Eventually, they open the cave door to like figure out what the fuck's going on. Odysseus, he saves his men. They make it back to the boats. Turns out that Cyclops that he wrecked was the son of Poseidon, and the god of the sea is not very happy about that. So essentially, that's the reason that it's taken Odysseus almost 10 years to get back home after the Trojan War. Finally, after telling them more about his the ship-swallowing seas that he comes in contact with, the cows that are protected by gods, women who turn men into pigs, and more shit, the king and the queen grant him a ship with a crew, and he sleeps on it all the way back to Ithaca. And with Athena's help, he disguises himself as a nasty hobo when he lands on the shores. Later, Penelope decides that she's going to marry herself to whoever can string Odysseus's bow and shoot an arrow through the heads of 12 axes. Essentially, this draw strength on this bow is like 500 pounds. Practically nobody can do anything with it. Eventually, Odysseus, he shows up as the hobo. He's like, I'm going to give it a shot. He wins the competition like a boss. Absolutely no troubles. He reveals himself to everybody as Odysseus. He then proceeds to murder all those men who were trying to get with his woman with his son Telemachus. The people of Ithaca then freak out and they're like, what the hell? Why'd you kill everybody? So as he's like gonna get into conflict with the peoples, Athena steps in and tells everybody to chill out, baby. We don't have to have no drama. Thanks to the gods, everyone is at peace, and Odysseus is at home with his wife and his kid, and everything is happy. So that is a really, really, really condensed version of what this book is. It's a really, really, like, I'm trying to put it in the shortest confines in order so that we can just, like, get a brief, like, I don't expect you to be a literary genius on this. I certainly am not. I'm the furthest thing from it. Even though the Iliad came first, the Odyssey is often more referenced and discussed as being, it's symbolic and more of a representation for the human condition. It's kind of a commentary on whether humans cause their own ills or if greater gods are controlling our fates. Odysseus engages in many things that the Greeks consider to be sinful, or whatever they consider to be exactly, like, I'm not going to use that word sinful, but wrong. Having sex with the goddesses on the beach, on that island that he was stuck with, you know what I mean? Stabbing the Cyclops in the eye, lying to save his crew. Sometimes he is behind the wheel, sometimes he's in control of his own destiny, but sometimes he is riding bitch in the god's whip. Here's a quote from Zeus, the king of the gods. Mortals, they are always blaming the gods for their troubles, when their own witlessness causes more than they were destined for. Who's to blame for Odysseus being gone so long? Was it his for stabbing the Cyclops in the eye, or was Poseidon being a seriously backwards kind of a person? I don't know. That's kind of a thing that you decide on. Generally, you cannot discuss the lessons of Odysseus without getting the lowdown on the other story of Agamemnon, which is, if you don't know, he's a character from Peabody and Sherman. He's a warrior of the Trojan War. He also himself tries to get himself home, except when he got there, he found his woman hopped in bed with some other playa. You know what I mean? Who straight up ghosted his ass afterward, not Odysseus. His woman is not like that. He's got one of the flyest biddies on the planet who slings her own brand of trickery. There is a way that she manages to keep all of those people away. She tells the men that she cannot marry anyone else until she's done weaving some cloth or whatever. But every single night, she undoes what she knits during the day. This girl, she manages to keep all of these people in line for 10 whole years while Odysseus tries to get home. That's right. That itself is righteous endurance, and it makes her just as heroic as the person in the story, like the main character. If there's one thing that Penelope, Athena, all the other ladies in this story prove, it's that even Greek heroes, as cool as they are, ain't gonna get shit done without a woman. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. Folks, I mean, I want to, like, watch this trailer with you. It's going to be interesting. I'll describe it to you. But you know what? It's one of the most viewed trailers in a minute. You know what I mean? It was released 3 hours ago. You're going to find it. If you just look up the Odyssey official trailer, go watch it. That's what I suggest. It's from Universal Pictures. I'm also going to rip the art eventually while I do this. But I'm going to describe it to you. So Universal, we get the logo. Sin Copy. I don't know that studio, I'm gonna be honest. There is it is a dune, a desert of like mounted men. They're like fallen soldiers, their armor, and then there's a guy bowing in front of a Trojan. It says after years of war. Then they're walking through. They're walking through the forest. No one could stand between my men. There's a big shot of a castle and home. Okay. And then there's a shot of Penelope and his son. And then he's on 3 boats. No one could stand between my home and me, not even me. Ooh. Someone got stabbed and they're trying to cover him so he doesn't scream. They're trying to cover his mouth. They're going into some cave. Oh, there's a huge cyclops, it looks like. Okay. Then they're just standing in, like, this field. There's creatures coming out of the field. God. Men getting washed off of the ship. They're just rowing, man. They're rowing. Promise me you'll come back.
What if I can't?
The Odyssey. 7/17/26, folks. I mean, there you go. That's the teaser. There's the official teaser trailer, man. I mean, there you go. If you're looking forward to this as much as I am, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a spectacle. Tom Holland, for some reason, he's playing Telemachus. I mean, cool. I don't know who's playing Penelope. I forget. What's her name? I don't remember. Matt Damon, I think, is playing Odysseus. Interesting choice. I mean, folks, besides that, vote in the comments for our next mini episode of your Brain on Air Literature Talk. It's the Scarlet Letter or the Handmaid's Tale for our next time, I'm guessing. Go ahead and drop some solid book recommends in the comments. Because that's the Odyssey, folks. It's a fun tale of earthly beings making their own fucking troubles by angering gods. Don't incur the wrath of the gods is a great lesson.